Hey everyone, I thought today I would try to talk to you guys about playing live stud games and remembering the up cards, which everyone knows is an important skill in stud games, but maybe you've never taken the time to really think about how to do it, or maybe you only get to play stud games rarely, so it just doesn't seem like that big of a deal. I never considered myself to be much of a stud player before playing a lot more World Series events. I always played it a little bit as part of mixed games, but as more of a hold'em or triple drop player, it didn't come naturally to me to always like be super dialed into the up cards. But that's a skill that I've gotten better at over time, and I think a lot of people say that they may not have a good memory, but I think this is a skill you can practice, and the more you do it whenever you are playing in a stud game, the easier it'll get. It'll become a little bit of second nature, and you won't have to spend too much brain power on it. So I'll just talk to you guys a little bit today about the technique that I use, and this is something that I learned 20 plus years ago now from one of my best friends, Joe Tall, an old school 2+2 name if you guys remember him, a stud player and someone who was one of my partners at Deuces Cracked and a lifelong friend. Anyway, Joe taught me, and I will teach you guys today, that when you first see the cards being dealt, I do not look at my hand right away in stud games. Razz, stud 8, stud high. I will look at the up cards as they're coming out and immediately start putting them in order in my mind. So for Razz and for stud 8 or better, I want to put the cards in order lowest to highest, with ace being low. And in stud high, I put them highest to lowest, with ace being high. So in Razz or stud 8, I will be studying the up cards as the dealer is putting them out, and immediately already kind of processing them, and then I will say them to myself in order from lowest to highest twice. So I might look at all the cards and say ace 3 3 4 6 9 jack, ace 3 3 4 6 9 jack, and then I look at the action. I still haven't looked at my hand. I know my own up card, it's right in front of me, it's kind of hard to ignore, but I want to see what the action is before it gets back to me. There are plenty of situations in stud games where your hole cards do not matter all that much. There are spots where you're going to have 100% raise for a steal. There are spots where you're going to have, let's say, a wide stealing range, maybe not 100%. And in those situations, I like to think about what my strategy is supposed to look like before I get biased by my actual hand. It also helps me to pay attention to what the other players are doing, because in stud, when someone raises, it says a lot more about their hand what cards behind them they're raising into. So if you're not paying attention to the up cards and you see someone raise from early position, you will learn a lot more about what their hand might be if you also know what cards were folded after them. Anytime you're looking at your hole cards in these situations, you may be missing information that is really, really relevant to figuring out what the hand ranges are supposed to look like. So, all that will happen. I will look at my cards typically in turn in stud games. I'm actually not a big fan of this in general. I think it slows down the action, but I think in stud games it's very valuable to pay attention to what the action is, what the up cards are, and what I want to do with my range before I worry about my actual hand. Then I'll look at my hand when it's on my turn or very close to my turn and act relatively quickly, as I already have a strategy in my mind for what I'm going to be doing. Remember, I know those up cards, and I will repeat them to myself if I play the hand before I go to 4th Street. So, again, ace, 3, 3, 4, 5, 7, queen. Maybe. If you guys will have to double check me on that. One other thing I will try to do is if I'm playing stud 8 or better or stud high, and I notice 3 or more of one suit, I will try to say that. Sometimes it can be a little bit much at an 8-handed table to try to remember all this, but ideally in stud 8 I would say something like ace, 3, 3, 4, 5, 7, queen, 3 diamonds. Now, that's in my mind that diamonds are a little bit more dead than normal, and I will definitely be paying attention to that if my up card is a diamond, because that would be really relevant to my play if I have a 3 flush to start. And then remember, for stud high, I tend to do just the opposite. Ace, king, 9, 6, 4, 4, 2. Ace, king, 9, 6, 4, 4, 2. Say them twice, look at the action, follow the action, decide what your strategy is going to be, then look at your cards, implement your strategy. If you play the hand and you get to 4th Street, as the dealer is kind of collecting the bets and getting ready to do a 4th Street, say the cards to yourself again. It'll help you to think about what your opponent's ranges are. I like to just say the cards all, including the cards that I can still see on my opponent's boards that have chosen to play. I can just subtract them later. You know, I understand that I'm not going to duplicate and say, oh, I think I said there was a king there, but he has a king. No, he was the one who had the king in the first place. I can figure this out. You can come up with your own system. But it's very, very important throughout the hand to have these committed to memory. Then as soon as the hand's over, erase, reset, get ready to do it all over again. The more you do this, the more your muscle memory will kick in. This will become second nature. It will not be something you'll spend a lot of brain energy on. You just have to practice, and I promise you it's worth a lot of EV in stud games to pay attention to this. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know what I can tell you about my strategy in these spots or anything that you think that comes up from this, and happy to talk about it in the comments. See you guys soon. Thanks.